In the meantime, please direct your attention to the screens for our safety instructions. Also, we would like to remind all participants about the following house rules. Put your mobile phones on silent mode. Wear your name tags at all times. In the interest of time, there will be no lengthy introductions of speakers and panelists. Their profiles can be accessed through the QR codes on your tables. The presentation materials can be also accessed through the same QR code. Ask your questions during the Q&A through any microphones on the floor. Give us your feedback using the QR codes on your tables. We would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support for this 4th MAP NEXTGEN CEO Conference 2023. Our co-presenter, GCash. Our knowledge partner, SGV and Company. Our diamond sponsors, Dubeladud and Associates, or BDB Law. Our gold sponsor, Forecasting and Planning Technologies Incorporated, or FPTI. Our silver sponsors, Divina Law, PwC Isla Lipana and Company, San Miguel Corporation, SMIC and BDO. Our bronze sponsors, Acrolaw, Anchorland, Ayala Corporation, DMCI Holdings, EasyPay Gate, Makati Shangri-La, Manila Water, Mitsubishi Motors Philippines Corporation. Our patron sponsors, Enchanted Kingdom, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, or NAPCO. Our digital media partner, Ube Media. Our media partners, Business World, the Manila Times. Our exhibitors, BDB Law, GCash, and the Manila Times.
Can you truly make a genuine connection with your customers? In an ideal world, businesses can. In an ideal world, businesses seek better ways to connect with their customers by understanding consumer preferences and purchases that define the ever-changing trends. In an ideal world, brands know who to approach, when to start a conversation, and what to do to keep them engaged. At GCash Partner Solutions, this is our world. Powered by insights from millions of customers who use GCash as an everyday part of life, we help you identify, connect, and delight your customers better than ever before with our marketing and data solutions. Create insightful connections with GCash Partner Solutions. Geo-target ads. Improve your open rates by enabling hyper-local messages within the vicinity. Banner new offers, advertise in-store promotions, and drive foot traffic to your store real-time. Reach active GCash users with location accuracy, and leverage on our efficient targeting for a more curated audience. Discover the ease and efficiency of smart automations with solutions that work. GCash Partner Solutions. GCash Voucher Ads. Improve conversion rates for your campaign with voucher offers seeded through prime ad spots on GCash. Through our advanced targeting capabilities, delight your customers by allowing them to receive the right offers at the right time. Drive awareness and action with solutions that work. GCash Partner Solutions.
How do we define total client care? It means being holistic by offering end-to-end solutions that are aligned with our rooted core values, solutions that evolved along with the modern technologies of our society. It means being professional, using our depth of experience in the industry that allows us to make clear and informed consultations to support you, weigh risks, and assist in developing and implementing the right solutions. It means being personal. By partnering with our clients and their growth aspirations and taking a unique personal approach that appreciates the intricacies and uniqueness of their business. We recognize the benefits of a global perspective. We are proud to be a part of WTS Global, an international tax network where only law firms that pass a stringent selection process are admitted. But our success doesn't just end with the numbers. We believe that success comes with responsibilities that extend beyond the walls of our offices. We share the dream of a better life for every Filipino. This is BDB Law Today. We are fueled with passion, a passion that keeps burning and moves us to provide better and more efficient services. A passion that adds value to what we do and how we will be in the next decade and beyond. Holistic, professional, personal. We are BDB Law.
Sign up for a year for only 80 pesos per month. Visit tmt.ph/premium to get your free 30 days of the Manila Times Premium.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. Please rise for the invocation, to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem. You may now be seated. To express his message of appreciation on behalf of GCash, as co-presenter of today's fourth MAP NEXTGEN CEO Conference, let us now welcome the Chief Marketing Officer of GCash, Mr. Neil Trinidad.
Good afternoon. GCash is excited to co-present the Management Association of the Philippines' fourth MAP NEXTGEN Conference of 2023. Today's conference theme of vision and values, the shifting success paradigm, is deeply connected with GCash's vision of enabling finance for all, aligned to our values of inclusive growth and the shift we're all experiencing as technology empowers progress for millions of Filipinos. There are three things I wanted to share on how vision, values, and transformation are shaping how GCash is doing business. First, on vision. Our vision of enabling finance for all has pushed us to make access to financial services easier and faster than ever. Beyond payments, millions of Filipinos can now borrow, save, invest, or get insured in a few simple taps on their phone 24/7 wherever they are in the world. For businesses big and small, they can now easily go cashless and accept payments to reach their customers with greater ease. That's why GCash now has a reach that's 6 times greater than the Next Finance app, experiencing 76% year-on-year growth in transactions, and has extensive presence with over 6 million online and offline channels. Second, values. At GCash, we believe that financial inclusion is a step towards financial progress. And these values are reflected in the people who use our app, many of whom are underserved or unbanked. We're happy to share that 87% of our users are from the middle class and below, many of whom may not have bank accounts, and GCash is their very first financial service app. 70% of our users live outside of Metro Manila, providing opportunities for those that live outside of the capital. 59% of our users are aged between 18 to 30 years old, and 55% of our users are female. In fact, for our lending business, we're very proud that 2/3 of our borrowers are female, many of whom are leading micro or small enterprises. This is reflected in the real-life GCash stories of Kokoy, a bartender turned business owner during the pandemic who got on his feet with the help of GLoan, or Alma, a beloved university photocopy operator from the Ateneo de Manila University, who lost her home to a typhoon and recovered through GCash donations. At GCash, we're inspired every day by the people we serve and their stories of hope and progress. And third, transformation. As technology pushes all of us to transform, we too are doing our part to help businesses transform through data, AI, and technology. Our GCash for Business partner marketing solutions include many different technology solutions for businesses to grow. These include affinity audience targeting. With the help of AI and data, now brands can target more than 50 different audience affinity profiles based on demographics, interests, and most importantly, purchase behavior data. We don't only know them, we know what they last purchased, we also know what they're most likely going to purchase. And these audiences include K-fans, pet lovers, parents, investors, travelers, and many more. Second is geo-targeted ads. It allows brands now to send specific geo-targeted push notifications within a 100-meter radius to any of their customers to drive traffic to a retail store, thereby driving conversion. And lastly, voucher solutions, allowing brands to push incentives to the right audience at the right time at the right moment of purchase through price-off vouchers and special offers. Now, if you want to learn more about how these solutions can help you and your businesses target and reach audiences and convert them to sales, we have a big booth outside. And remember, for all of these, kaya mo, i-GCash mo. So please do visit our GCash booth to learn more. So as we kick off today's exciting NEXTGEN conference, may we all be inspired by our common vision, our shared values, and the transformation that many leaders will share in their stories today. May you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trinidad. To formally open this fourth MAP NEXTGEN CEO conference, please give a round of applause to the President of the Management Association of the Philippines, who is the founding partner and CEO of Du Baladad and Associates, or BDB Law, Attorney Dick Du Baladad.
to our distinguished speakers, panelists, moderators, sponsors, partners, participants, fellow members, friends, ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings on behalf of the Management Association of the Philippines. Welcome to this fourth NEXTGEN CEO Conference, a forum where discussions will be about the shifting success paradigm and the vision and values that will endure through time. I look around and I see a crop of leaders that will take us through the 21st century. You will shape the dynamic landscape of business leadership, and your watch will usher in the future of our next organizations, industries, next generation, and our nation. This is a time like no other. We are in a period of volatility where changes are constant and innovations are imperatives. It is a world where rules are being rewritten. It is a world where rules are being rewritten. And the role of business leaders is crucial in meeting the challenges and opportunities that abound. The next generation leaders can rise to the call of the times. The learning curve will be steep, and missteps can be costly. However, a unique advantage that MAP offers is that intergenerational collaboration. Senior business leaders can bring to the table invaluable experience, wisdom, and insight, while our next generation can offer fresh perspectives, creative thinking, and intuitive understanding of an increasingly digital world. Where the race is on to fuel inclusive economic development post-pandemic, the partnership between these two generations is not only beneficial, it is critical in order to drive progress, survive the crisis, and be resilient enough to tackle new ones. The cross-section of business leaders today is a mix of disciplined, committed, and team-oriented. Even if they are quite traditional baby boomers, the independent, resilient, and problem-solving but pragmatic and adaptable Gen X, the inclusive, socially responsible, and tech-savvy millennials, and the digital natives Gen Z, who are now beginning to enter leadership roles.
Single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops. 'Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down, you sing a sad song. You don't gotta go to work. A single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops. 'Cause you had a bad day, you're taking one down, you sing a sad song. You don't gotta go to work. A single mom.
Okay, that's not bad. That's a cute one. These characteristics should not be mutually exclusive. In fact, we should leverage on the respective strengths so that we can create a powerful collective. I hope that this is what our conference journey will mean today. A reflection on how the next-gen leaders can be at the forefront of positive change by gaining a deeper understanding of the key trends and issues that will define the business landscape in the years ahead. In the hip style of this group, you provided an opportunity to engage, challenge, and forge connections, but your aspirations should not become a barrier to exclusivity. It should be an open door to inclusiveness. After all, wider insights and expanded perspectives are springboards to progress, personal and professional growth. And when we all come together, we can create a more sustainable future for those that will come next. Let me take this opportunity then to acknowledge our co-presenters, GCash, and our knowledge partner, SGV & Company, We would also like to thank our other partners whose efforts made this conference possible. And finally, I would like to thank the MAP Next Generation Committee for their unstinting efforts to organize this conference, headed by Cliff Iyala as chair, Donna Lina and Deliza as co-vice chairs, the ladies in front, and Donald Lim, who promised to come this afternoon. Another round of applause for them. Yay! So before I close, let me just remind all of you again about our two very important events of the MAP for the rest of the year until December, when I will turn over the torch to Rene Almendras. Okay. First is the MAP Annual General Membership Meeting, where we will be conferring our MAP Management Person of the Year, 2023. That would be Jollibee Foods Corporation President and CEO, Ernesto Tanmantiong. Second is the MAP Summit on Shared Prosperity. We have been pushing and championing this concept of shared prosperity. And this will be held right after November 28 from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Shangri-La, the 4th. This summit on shared prosperity brings together stakeholders to draw, hopefully, a blueprint for shared prosperity, which is a roadmap on how businesses can help uplift the poor out of poverty and improve the quality of life for all. Let's try to close the gap, make it nearer, the Gini coefficient. Let's improve the Gini coefficient, which is the difference in wealth between the rich and the poor. So I hope we can do that. I am running out of time because my term is until December, but I hope that the next board will continue to push for this. So with that, let me wish you all a successful conference. On behalf of the MAP Board of Governors, I now declare this fourth MAP NextGen CEO Conference open.
Thank you, Attorney Baladad. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of the MAP NextGen Committee and the president and CEO of BS Works, who is a behavioral strategist, a tech entrepreneur, and an author, Mr. Cliff Iyala.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for being here. I am glad and excited to have you all this afternoon. This conference is the fourth MAP NextGen CEO Conference. The theme for today is Vision and Values, the Shifting Success Paradigm. When I was a little boy, words like well-being, diversity and inclusion, social impact were never uttered. When I did my MBA, not too long ago, they weren't uttered either. It was all about revenue, profit, and all your KPIs were tied into that, right? But today, the younger generation is looking for other things beyond just financial wealth. Yes, success is about financial wealth, but it is not just about that. That's the important part. And we need to talk about it. We need to bring it up to fore so that people are aware and we end up learning how to operationalize this. Or else it becomes just flowery words, inspirational words, but they get stuck in a PowerPoint slide. And that's the importance of the conference. We need to discuss it. We need to articulate it. We need to tease out the nuances because it's not one or the other. It's not wealth or social impact. It's both. But understanding the nuances is what brings out the ability to create solutions to address these problems. So, if we say well-being, what does that mean? Does that mean bean bags and free food? Definitely, right? It definitely means bean bags and free food. But well-being goes a lot beyond that. If you look at what's been written out there, there are 5 or 6 things that are associated with well-being. Pleasure obviously is one, and that's the food and the bean bags. But you have positive emotion, you have engagement at work, you have relationships at work, you have meaning, you have a sense of achievement. All of this are being aspired for by the current generation. Engagement at work is enthusiasm and commitment to your work. And that only happens if the tasks you're working on engage your skills, your unique skills, so that you develop your potential. Relationships at work. How's your relationship with your boss? Does your boss just care about your output? How about your career development? How about anxieties that you may have? How about problems at home? How about where you're going to be in the next 5 years? That's part of well-being. Are the colleagues at work supportive, or is it a snake pit? Is there backbiting? Do I have to be careful with everything I do because somebody's just going to stab me in the back? Or somebody's just going to grab the credit? That's well-being. Meaning. Meaning is the value we find in an activity because it brings us closer to a purpose greater than ourselves. Are the tasks we do at work do they just terminate there? Or it's for something else? Is there something beyond the actual task that makes us engage with the work and do the work? Because if it's just the work itself, I might as well just sell drugs, right? A sense of achievement. Is my work an opportunity to achieve certain goals that I have, certain aspirations that I have in my life? Or is it just, again, about the work at hand? So these are things that form part of well-being. Diversity. Yes, diversity is important, but what kind of diversity? Should we just take a sample of every different person and hire them? That's not how it works. There's a very specific kind of diversity that drives performance, and that's what you read about, and that's what people are looking for. What kind of diversity drives performance? It's what's called cognitive diversity, the ability to think differently, to see problems from a different perspective, to see solutions in a different way. And where does that come from? That comes from a variety of lived experiences. For instance, because I'm a man, the lived experiences that I have is very different from the lived experiences of a woman. If I am Muslim, my lived experiences are very different from the lived experiences of a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Now, those lived experiences become relevant to specific businesses or are irrelevant to others. So it's important to identify what kind of cognitive diversity are we looking for that is relevant to the business. Now, of course, we hire for performance, but other times we hire for altruism, meaning we just want to help the poor guy or the poor girl. And that's fine too. But let's not confuse one for the other. Sometimes they interlap, sometimes they don't. We just have to be clear about why we are hiring for diversity. Okay? Social impact. Sometimes you can make profit and have social impact at the same time. But in the current setting, let's face it, I may be controversial, but I guess somebody has to say it. There is a trade-off. It's foolish to think that there's never a trade-off between trying to make a social impact and trying to make a profit. For example, wastewater cleanup of my effluent water in a factory. Is there a trade-off between profit and environmental impact? Definitely there is. Paying my employees fairly, is there a trade-off between profitability and paying them fairly? Of course there is. Now it's naive to think that there's none. Now here's the problem. If we do not recognize that trade-off, it is very difficult to work out a way of operating whereby we can align both profitability and social impact. It starts with that awareness. Fine, many times there are cases where there's no need, or there's no trade-off, but many, many times there is a trade-off. So it boils down to what is valuable to the company. If what's valuable to the company is profit and profit alone, then we have greenwashing, we have whitewashing. So greenwashing is this term, I mean, you've heard of whitewashing. Greenwashing is this term that's familiar in the sustainability circles where people, it's a behavior of companies that want to appear that they are sustainable when that is just nothing more than appearances. Meaning it's their press releases, the way they design the website, they would say, or the way they reference cases, which all gives you an impression that they are sustainable. They work on ESG goals, but if you dig down deep, there's nothing really there. Okay, that's what's called greenwashing. So this whole thing of well-being, diversity, inclusion, social impact also has its version of whitewashing, right? And a lot of us now are starting to get this intuition that there's a lot more to value than what we can actually measure by price or by our financial metrics. And it's important that we bring that out, and that's why we have this conference. So, having said that, today's conference is pretty exciting. We have two keynotes, one care of Christo Georgiev. He's from Bulgaria. So Christoph is the country head of finscore.ph. They do alternative credit scoring, meaning they create credit scoring from non-traditional data, telco data, and whatever other data they can get with their partners, and create a credit score. So this company he runs is a Filipino company. By my recollection, it's 4 years old. It was acquired 3 months ago by a Malaysian holding company for $5.9 million. And they are doing tremendously, fabulously good work. We also have a keynote from Roland Garcia, who's the CEO of MBGen, an innovation venture building company. And then in between, we have two fireside chats. One is about succession, where we're asking the leaders of conglomerates or the next generation leaders of conglomerates, where are you taking us? And there's another fireside chat, which is about AI. But this time, it's AI and well-being. Because if we brought AI people to that forum, it's all going to be about the artificial. So that's why we have, and some of the panelists were saying, what am I going to do on a panel with AI? I said, that's precisely because you don't know AI, why we want you on the panel. Okay? So the other thing we're going to be doing today is we're going to award the graduates of the SGV MAP NextGen CEO Leadership Transformative Leadership Program. Okay, this is a program that MAP is doing with MAP is doing with SGV, and it rests on, it's a 9-month program, and it rests on 4 pillars. Leading with purpose, humans at center, technology at speed, innovation at scale. Those are the 4 themes that serve as pillars of that program. So we'll be seeing them in a bit. And then, finally, I'd want to thank MAP, the leadership at MAP, for supporting this conference. It's been the 4th year. Thank you very much. I'd like to also thank my vice chairs who have been, who will challenge you. They won't say yes if they don't believe what you're saying, and that has been helpful. All the people who have been voluntold to help the conference, thank you very much. I'd like to thank our sponsors and our partners, GCash, thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank especially Arnold Salvador and the crew. Arnold. Believe me, without Arnold, this will not happen. So when Arnold says jump, you jump. Okay? I'll leave you with one last thought. I pursue value beyond price because some things are priceless. I pursue value beyond price because some things are priceless. So this is from the NEXTGEN Manifesto. That is number 7. Traditionally, and even today, the way we measure value creation is through a financial metric. And in this case, I simplify it with price. That's how we measure everything. The accountants know it. SGV knows it very well. It's all about how much is this worth in money terms. That's good, but there's a problem with it. Where is well-being? Where is diversity? Where is social impact? It's gone. So there is an insufficiency in the way we measure value. And until that measurement makes its way into the measures by which a company is run, everything we talk about here is lip service. So that's the goal of all of this. We want to get those values, those aspirations, the shift of the success paradigm into ways in which we can measure them and becomes relevant within an organizational setting. And there are ways to do it, right? It's more a question of whether you're willing or not, because it's being done. Some companies are doing this. Some governments are doing this. So I mentioned earlier the NEXTGEN Manifesto, and I will leave you with this. Early on the NEXTGEN committee, we asked ourselves, who are we? What do we stand for? What do we believe in? We need to articulate this. We need to write it down. So with that thought, we came out with a 12-point statement, which now is known as the NEXTGEN Manifesto, which I will read for you and leave you with that to set up the conference. Can I have the NEXTGEN Manifesto, please? Number 1, I am a NEXTGEN leader, good beyond pretension. I put people first and pursue profit in the service of people. I am a steward of resources for the upliftment of those who have none. I fight for social equity through fair compensation, poverty alleviation, education, and healthcare. I push for meritocracy, not for meritocracy alone, but so that the able can rise and build inclusive organizations for all. I work hard, but remind myself that life is more than just my work. I see value beyond price because some things are priceless. I harness people's social and altruistic nature to balance out individualistic and utilitarian behavior. I foster collaboration because some life-changing problems aren't solved anywhere unless we solve them everywhere. For example, Pasig River cannot be solved alone. I promote peace, and I promote peace as a precondition for prosperity. I respect ecological boundaries as I pursue progress. I face the problems that come my way and will not pass them on to my kids' generation. This is my watch. The buck stops with me. Enjoy the conference, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Iyala. Welcome to the MAP 4th NEXTGEN Conference 2023. In line with the MAP policy and in the interest of time, we will dispense with the lengthy introduction of our speakers and panelists. Their profiles can be accessed through the QR code on your tables. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now listen to our opening keynote speaker for this 4th MAP NEXTGEN CEO Conference. Please welcome the Country Manager and COO of FinScore Incorporated, Mr. Krisko Georgiev.
Mic check. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the Management Association of the Philippines for inviting myself to talk a little bit more about my personal journey of doing business in the Philippines, as well as FinScore's journey in the country. My name is Kristo Georgiev. I'm originally from Bulgaria. I have spent most of my adult life in the Philippines, most of the last 10, 11 years. And there's a couple of lessons that I would like to share, both with the group. There are lessons that I wish I would have been able to share with my younger self, and there are lessons that might be useful for other entrepreneurs that are trying to do business in the country. Prior to that, starting with my personal background, before joining FinScore in 2018, I was part of the very dynamic world of online gaming and iGaming industry, quite a competitive one. And during this time, I developed a particular affinity towards solving problems at scale. And I came to the conclusion, after several attempts at doing it manually or utilizing manual processes, I came to the conclusion that technology is the ultimate tool to solve problems at scale. I've never considered myself an entrepreneur per se. I've always been more of a manager. It's due to the fact that my background in the past 10 years prior to FinScore has been largely managing people, managing processes, managing projects, and managing business units. But marrying this concept with the scalability of technological innovations creates a necessity for managers to be entrepreneurs as well. And that's one of the reasons why I joined FinScore, and it's one of the reasons why up to today we have a very strong entrepreneurial culture within our company. I'll do a quick introduction on what FinScore is, because I'm aware that we are not within a narrow financial institution or a financial services background. FinScore is an alternative data credit scoring provider. It's known best for its flagship product of telco credit scoring. It's been the pioneer of the telco credit scoring business in the Philippines, and it currently has partnerships with both Smart and Globe Telecoms, with close to 100% telco market coverage. The business taps on more than 11 years of experience from FinScore's predecessors. It has delivered so far over 15 million credit scores, primarily to the unbanked and underserved population of the country. And most of these credit scores have been delivered over the course of the last 2 years, so after the pandemic, where the business has actually experienced a significant growth in its system. And we estimate that through our partners, our lenders, financial institutions, we have facilitated over $2 billion in loans disbursed for the Philippines economy. Many times when I speak with people that are not necessarily have a background in the financial services sector, they ask me, but why telco data? How does telecom data translate to credit? And how are these connected? And in reality, credit risk is about information. And information, it's about data, and data, it's about information. The telecom credit scoring is a reputation of every individual gathered in a specific ecosystem. These are the ecosystems of the telecoms. These are how individuals use their SIM cards, basically. Do they make a lot of phone calls? Do they use a lot of data? Have they been a subscriber for a long time or a short period of time? Are they on a prepaid or a postpaid line? Are they topping up frequently, small amounts, big amounts, et cetera, et cetera? All of this information in aggregation, by observing, of course, all compliance, data privacy, and cybersecurity regulations, tells something about an individual SIM card owner. It tells something about their reputation, and this these factors can be used for building relationships within other ecosystems outside of the telecom ecosystem. So when someone applies for a loan with a financial institution, or for a credit card, or to purchase something through the services of home credit in a mall, they can actually rely on the reputation that they have built in a non-financial institution context to start a new relationship with a financial institution. It's a bridge of making credit invisible into credit visible, of making unbanked into potentially banked further down the road. Over the course of the existence of our company, in the last 4.5 to 5 years, we have been able to develop relations with over 50 financial institutions in the Philippine market, as well as have started working with the largest credit bureaus, both TransUnion, CIBI, and CRIF are some of our proud partners and distributors. FinScore has also won a Global FinTech Startup of the Year award at the Singapore FinTech Festival around 2 years ago. And these successes, or milestones rather, have led to the ultimate acquisition of FinScore by Citus Digital, one of the largest regional players in the field of credit information. And that has been quite a journey for everyone involved in the company, because when I first joined in 5 years ago, we had one client and we had one telecom partner and not a very big background in how credit information actually works, but a lot of passion to solve problems. And this brings me to the first lesson that I learned as part of this journey, which was very important up to today, as Simon Sinek has built a whole book around this concept. It's the concept about knowing your why. And it wouldn't come as a surprise probably for most of you that an expat in the Philippines didn't have building financial inclusion as a why necessarily. My personal why at the time was a little bit more focused around, I wanted to start a successful business. I wanted to set an example for entrepreneurs, both in my country as well as in the Philippines, that solving complex problems with the help of technology is possible. It's possible in a sustainable way, and it's possible in a profitable way as well. I wanted to offer new solutions to an existing problem, and I was based in the Philippines at the time. When I started talking with the founder of FinScore and the former CEO, I realized that there is actually a burning problem on the Philippines market when it comes down to credit accessibility. About 70% of the individuals at the time were unbanked. Thankfully, that has improved quite a lot over the course of the last 5 years. Lenders didn't have sufficient information in order to make good credit decisions, so their default strategy had been to just focus on the most important part of on the most affluent part of the population, leaving everyone else excluded. Consumers didn't have a good way to transfer their reputation in other ecosystems, and everyone has a SIM card. Not everyone may have a bank account, but everyone definitely has a SIM card, even 5 years ago. So consumers were not able to transfer this reputation into starting new relationships with financial institutions. So this burning problem, connected with my personal why, became the driving force behind why FinScore was formed and why FinScore continued on its path up until today. So one of the key lesson that I learned as part of this journey is that your personal why is quite important, but it's also important to connect it to the circumstances around you in a way that it gives fuel to them. The second lesson I was able to learn during our journey with FinScore is around consistency and around intensity. And as someone that comes from a very dynamic industry, pre-fintech, which is the iGaming industry, it's one of the most innovative industries around the world, very fast-paced, 24/7, highly competitive, multi-market. I found it a little bit challenging in the beginning to adapt to the local market realities. The Philippines was a market in a very early stage of digital transformation, and that was true for the financial services sector particularly. Our brand 5 years ago was completely unknown to anyone, and the product of telecom credit scoring was also largely not popular. We knew that it works in other markets. We've had done successful pilots in my home country, in Bulgaria, but most of the local companies were not really familiar with why telecom data would be able to solve their problems into assessing borrowers' creditworthiness in a better way. On top of that, there was Cambridge Analytica, which happened relatively recently around the start around the start of FinScore, which turned data sharing and utilizing big data into more or less a dirty word. We had to find solutions that are able to that we are able to work on consistently, and that would work regardless of what the industry conditions actually have been during this period of time. We had to build simple products that visualize complex solutions. We had to do market education, one lender at a time, going into every single possible event that we are able to speak about alternative data and alternative credit scoring, and continuously network through all available channels in order to get the word out there, both of our company's brand, but also about the fact that now there is an additional tool for financial institutions to make better decisions, and an additional tool that can actually aid the financial inclusion of consumers in the country. This has definitely been challenging, but during COVID pandemic, when all transactions went digital, our company had actually been able to already build out the pipes that are necessary to facilitate digital behavior by consumers. And while the pandemic period was challenging for all businesses, including for FinScore, as I'll speak a little bit later on, the post-pandemic period was what actually allowed, was when the company was able to fulfill its growth. And within this journey, we can definitely say that intensity has contributed not more than 10% of our actual results, and consistency has contributed to the remaining 90%. The Philippines is very much a market of survival and resilience, at least from a foreigner standpoint. And without consistency, without consistently focusing on the things that work, on the things that your company and can solve in the best possible way, and repeating it as many times as necessary in order to generate enough traction, success would come very, very differently. And that has been a very important lesson, both for myself personally, that I had to adjust to a large degree, as well as a lesson for the rest of our business. Speaking about pandemic, the lesson number 3 from our journey is that people are your company's biggest asset. And this has turned almost into a cliche over times, and it gets repeated over and over and over, but I couldn't stress how important actually it is. From a startup perspective, managers and actually individuals in a startup are usually forced to wear many hats, to focus on many different aspects of the business, and don't necessarily have time to uptrain either themselves or their colleagues. However, every minute of time that is spent on onboarding new individuals in the business or into improving the capacity of the existing workforce has done tremendous positive effect on a long enough time basis. And also picking out the right people, making sure that their values are aligned with what the company is trying to build, making sure that they fit into the culture, making sure that they understand what the vision of the business is, has been of paramount importance for survival, actually, for our company during the most difficult and turbulent time of COVID-19. The lesson that we've learned during this period is that within difficult circumstances, but paired with the right team, success is still possible. We list in the ideal circumstances, but not necessarily the correct team, success is more often unlikely. And we've all seen this in the examples in the sports dimension, such as the teams of Barcelona and Real Madrid, one with an amazing team spirit, team culture, and collaboration, another one with a collection of superstars that didn't really manage to play well together. looking at beyond the person or the company dimension of what important lessons we have learned over the course of the last 5 years, we also need to take a step back and look at what other things are needed on the market besides the solutions that we are already providing. And one of the key elements that we believe is missing on the Philippines market is a wide enough campaign around improving financial literacy. Because financial inclusion, at least on a large enough societal level, is very difficult without improving financial literacy. And financial literacy in our particular case would mean very simple things. What is a credit score? Why is it important? What are the factors that actually affect a credit score? Is credit score about reputation? If it's about reputation, how do I transfer this reputation into all the relationships that I form in the digital world? What happens actually if I delay my payment or if I don't pay my credit card? What are ways to remediate that? How do banks or lenders make the decision about extending a loan to an individual or not? All of these questions we have found out that are not necessarily easily answered on an individual level. And as part of this, we have made a concerted decision that over the course of 2024, our company will commit into solving the make a minor contribution towards solving the financial literacy aspect of financial inclusion as well by running a series of digital and physical seminars on credit scoring that will be open for both public, for some of our corporate partners, for basically anyone that is willing to attend, where we are going to do a deeper dive on the answers to these questions, and hopefully we'll be able to provide our modest contribution to improving financial inclusion on the Philippines market. The lesson number 5, and that's going to be the final lesson that we'll focus on from FinScore's journey today, has been to always check with our long-term vision. And this is particularly important for startups where in the very early stages of a business, it can go in many different directions, especially during a turbulent time with a lot of different changes happening both on a macro perspective as well as on an industry level. Macro perspective, we already talked about a pandemic. And the industry level, there has been emergence of digital banks, vast increase of activity of digital transactions through e-wallets and payment gateways. There have been interest rate caps introduced, and there's been open finance initiatives introduced by the Banco Central. In such a changing environment, figuring out on which products and which projects to focus is of paramount importance for every startup because resources are finite and startups don't have necessarily the same level of moats or the same level of runway that established corporations have. And in FinScore's case, the long-term vision has always been to build a data marketplace where data providers that can be consumers or enterprises or a combination of both can meet with data consumers who can be financial institutions or any other companies that would like to ingest data, with big data analytics businesses such as FinScore, but not exclusively FinScore, in the middle, facilitating the collaboration between data providers and data consumers, building add-on value-add services, and helping with connectivity. This is at today's day, in November 2023, is largely a dream, although FinScore's telecom credit scoring service is an MVP of a data marketplace. All the rest of the elements are not there. but everything that FinScore has been doing over the course of the last 5 years that eventually became an important project for our company has been aligned with that data marketplace vision. And if it wasn't fitting, or if it was going in a different direction, or it was taking away focus or resources away from that long-term vision, we just wouldn't do it. Our view and our dream is that one day, both individuals will have sovereignty over the way their data is being utilized, and will have capabilities to monetize it, as well as every enterprise and every large walled garden that is actively looking towards monetizing their information will have an easy plug-and-play solution to do this. And as I mentioned, this is still a dream in November 2023, but hopefully within the next 5 to 10 years, it will be reality, very similarly to how FinScore was just a dream 5 years ago. And speaking about dreaming, I'll finish with a quote from Albert Einstein, who says that it's important to never give up on your dreams, because the person with the biggest dreams is more powerful than the one with all the facts. And as managers, we definitely want to know all the facts all the time, so it's quite important to not forget this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Georgiev. May we request Mr. Georgiev to please take your seat on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, please welcome the Q&A moderator for this session, the Treasurer and Head of Markets and Securities Services of HSBC Philippines, and a member of the MAP NextGen Committee, Ms. Cory Purisima.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Cristo, for sharing with us your very inspiring journey on with FinScore and on financial inclusion. As President Dick mentioned a while ago, the role of the NextGen is very, very critical in bridging the generations and building a stronger future for the Philippines. And this is particularly something very close to my heart because I have 2 very young kids. So I'm very, very keen to learn about financial inclusion, AI, your journey on financial inclusion. And this is going to be particularly important, especially in bridging the gap between the rich and the poor, which we know during COVID has increased massively. So Cristo shared the model of FinScore and how it is fulfilling his vision for financial inclusion, including the role of AI and technology. But before we move on to questions from the audience, there are microphones out there, so please, I encourage you all to ask questions. His story is very, very interesting. Please state your name and the company you represent. But Cristo, could you share with us the differences between alternative and traditional sources of data, and how do you use this in FinScore?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the create information world, the traditional data sources would be basically information that comes typically from the government or from private credit bureaus. So in the Philippines context, that would be the CIC, for example, or the TransUnion database, as well as any additional information that would have a financial component in it, or transactional component, etc. That's why we call telecom data alternative data, because it is not necessarily based on financial transactions. However, it can be utilized to predict financial behavior.
Thank you. Very interesting. I work in a bank, and I'm learning so much from Cristo. Thank you for that. You also mentioned, Cristo, that people are your biggest asset, and this is what helped you survive during COVID. And talk to us about talent in the Philippines. Where do you think talent is strongest? And on the other hand, where do you think Filipinos need upskilling to be able to be competitive and bringing the country on a more competitive level?
Mm-hmm. I'll start maybe with in a reverse order. The most important area where the country needs to focus on is engineering, particularly software and data science engineering. This is where we've seen the biggest struggle in order to hire top talent, and most of our data scientists and developers, we've had to actually hire them abroad for that exact same reason. In FinScore's case, it's a little bit more specific because telecom data in general, it's a very niche part of data science, and that also requires a specific background and specific know-how. However, in general, finding top tech talent in the Philippines has been quite challenging, and we've seen good initiatives over time with specific master degrees that I think Ateneo has at the moment, that has started producing new top talent in the market. We just, if I had a wish, we would like to wish to see more of that. Yeah. And where the country excels, I would say in, first it's probably important to mention this, in FinScore we're privileged to have really world-class top talent co-workers in every dimension of the business. We've seen great talents in marketing, we've seen great talent in business development, we've seen great talent in finance and accounting. So in quite a lot of the commercial aspect of running a business, I think the Philippines is world-class.
Thank you for that. And I think for those that have children who are about to study, or we do have MAP members who own schools, please take note of that. And everyone nowadays is talking about AI and machine learning, and I've heard so much more of that especially over COVID, and FinScore has been using it since you began. Can you tell us what has changed in the credit scoring industry this year with the mass adoption of large language models? Any new innovations, particularly, that might change on how FinScore could evolve in the near future?
Well, one of the interesting things is that now our data scientists can actually write scripts with the help of ChatGPT. In under 1 minute, they can accomplish what they used to do in 8 hours before. So that's definitely been an important innovation. From the standpoint of machine learning has been around, and data science as a science has been around for, I don't know, 50, 60 years, probably even longer than that. Machine learning models have been around maybe since in the last 25, 30 years. What has changed quite a lot is the pace at which credit scoring model can be developed at the moment. This is no longer a proprietary company information. It's possible, entirely possible for non-technical people to build models pretty much within minutes, as long as they have the necessary data sets and maybe a 2-hour introductory course on how to do it. So this is no longer specialized science, very similarly to how many other professions have become a lot more open or transparent over time.
Thank you for that. I think credit scoring is a very interesting field. And speaking of credit scoring, you did mention you have several partners. You showed the logos a while ago, working with telcos, some financial institutions. Can you share with us some success stories on the value you've delivered to them? I mean, for example, how much has the credit default has been much more effective? We're quite keen to hear on the before and after numbers post the service of FinScore. Could you share with that, please?
Sure. We can maybe divide this into, we solve generally 2 different problems depending on which segment of the financial services industry we are focusing on. For digital lenders, typically the biggest challenge is high default rates due to lack of sufficient information to weed out bad players in advance. And what we see most of the time, our services are particularly useful for either new entrants on the market. Actually, I would say they're absolutely mandatory due to the lack of prior information, whereby we could see reduction of the default rate of 50% in certain cases. So if before FinScore, without FinScore rather, their default rate is at 40%, with FinScore they would go to something like 20-22. For more established lenders, the percentage points typically of default reduction are much smaller, but their loan portfolios are much larger and the volume of loan applications is much larger. So there, 1 or 2 percentage point reductions can actually be equivalent to millions of dollars in certain cases of safe defaults. On the other side, we have the more traditional financial institutions, the thrift bank, the rural banks, as well as commercial banks, whereby the bigger challenge is how to be able to open up the funnel, how to approve more loans, how to approve more credit cards by retaining the same default rate. Of course, this is a second use case where telco credit scoring services can be quite useful. And there, typically what we see is that before and after utilizing telco scores, it's possible in certain cases, it's possible to approve up to 30% more customers at the same default level. And that, of course, for anyone that is looking to acquire and to grow its portfolio can be a very big determining factor.
Yeah, very interesting. And just checking if we have any questions from the ground. Okay, we have from our Governor, Karen Batumbaka from the MAP.
Oops. It's on. Okay. Yeah, hello, Cristo. This has been absolutely fascinating. So my question is, I'm curious as to whether you are looking at product number 2. I've seen that you've gotten funding, congratulations, on realizing value in such a short period of time. But are you either looking at expanding globally or going horizontally into another section? I know you're doing credit scoring fantastically, but what's next?
Great, thank you very much. Post-acquisition, we are now going to expand into the Indonesian market. So now there will be FinScore Indonesia starting from 2024. So this is one of the new developments from our business. And horizontally, we are looking to provide additional products that can further aid our existing client base. We see still tremendous potential for optimizations within the financial services sector, and we are in a very good position to be able to facilitate this. We are working on solutions for lead generation, for fraud prevention, as well as for collections, which are all the remaining cycles besides loan underwriting that FinScore's current products and services are not utilized at.
Thanks, Karen, for your question. You talked about fraud prevention just now. How does FinScore identify and use data to be able to identify the bad actors to prevent fraud, to help your customers?
Well, we need to think about what kind of information is actually available in the ecosystems of telecoms. And there are certain flags that can be actually quite telling about fraudulent behavior. An example would be a loan applicant applying with a mobile number that is actually supposed to be put inside a broadband device. And that happens quite often, and that's a very significant indicator of fraud because there is a strong identification that this is actually supposed to be a broadband device and not a consumer SIM card. A different use case, for example, would be multiple applications in multiple different lenders, or the so-called loan shopping. FinScore has built out a product that basically looks at all of the activity across our client base over the course of the last 5 years and identifies whether there's been multiple loan applications by the same number across numerous lenders. That typically weeds out another significant percentage of fraudulent activity.
Very, very interesting. Also, you mentioned you've been working a lot with the central bank. Do you have any wish list, or what is your wish list from the regulators or policy members? We do have many MAP members who are government officials. Many of us, including ourselves, speak to the regulators quite regularly. What is your wish list for them?
Absolutely. The number one wish on the wish list would be for the CAC to actually get the most coverage possible in the Philippines. And I think there's been quite a significant progress over the course of the last couple of years. There's now an advanced tier being launched for certain private credit bureaus that are going to be able to contribute into expanding the available data for other credit companies. And this will allow also alternative data operators such as FinScore to leverage both traditional and alternative information when providing our credit scores. Number two would be to actually see open finance even in a very limited, even in a very limited part of the industry, but to actually see the first successful pilots of it. That would be quite important. Actually, if you think about it, the telecom credit scoring is a very early example of open finance, even though it's not from a financial institution data source. It does solve a financial institution problem, generally. And number three would be to just have easily accessible open APIs, naturally consented and cyber-secured, but open APIs from the different government structures, from the BIR, from SSS, etc., whereby consented user information would be able to be used in real time in order to make decisions and in order to provide information for the companies and the businesses that are looking for this type of information. I think that would be also a very big help for the industry, and it would be a very big help for intermediaries that facilitate the data transfer between multiple parties.
Thank you. I will remember that, and I hope that our colleagues and friends here in the audience will continue to advocate and support our initiatives for financial inclusion and to help the industry in general. But taking a quick step back while we're waiting for more questions, maybe you can talk a little bit more about your background prior to leading FinScore in the Philippines. What lessons from other markets that you've learned that you think can be applicable here? Or for example, what insights from the iGaming industry resonate in the Philippine fintech industry?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this a little bit during my presentation. The international iGaming industry, this casino and sportsbook gaming, is very, very dynamic. It's highly competitive. There's thousands of companies competing at the same time on a 24/7 international market, and basically being an hour late with deploying a new product, deploying a new solution, offering a new feature, or making a partnerships with a new payment provider can make very significant difference commercially, and can make a very significant difference for your client base as well. And this is something that is actually quite different than the Philippines. In the Philippines, typically the changes and transformations happen rather slowly at its own pace, but once the momentum is there, then there is no turning back. And I think that's actually quite an advantage of the Philippines market.
Thank you. Just want to check if we have any more questions from the audience. Anyone? Okay. Well, perhaps we can jump to my last question. I'm curious what keeps you up at night, Cristo. What's the single biggest risk that you're worried about in running FinScore, and how are you mitigating that?
Well, the single biggest risk, probably in our case, is losing our key partnerships because either of regulatory or of any other types of reasons. Besides that, I sleep quite well at night, actually. And that's why we try to have very good relationships in multiple different levels with our partners to be able to walk them through the different potential risks and possible ways to mitigate. And so far, we haven't actually seen anything going in the wrong direction because of that.
Thank you very much, Cristo. Thank you for sharing your journey. I've learned so much, and I hope that our audience learned a lot as well. We wish you all the best in FinScore and more successes in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you
everyone.
A round of applause, please, for Mr. Georgiev and Miss Purissima. We will be having a 5-minute break. In the meantime, the screens are flashing the prizes to be raffled off at 8:45 p.m. Physical presence is required, so please stay up to 9 p.m. Your reply to the electronic feedback form through the QR code on the tables will serve as your electronic raffle entry. Once again, your reply to the electronic feedback form through the QR code on the tables will serve as your electronic raffle entry. Our raffle prizes: one unit of Unibest Personal 5-sheet crosscut paper shredder from Pacific Sun Solutions Incorporated. 2 winners of 5 Enchanted Kingdom passes worth 5,500 pesos. Overnight stay in the deluxe room with breakfast for 2 at the Makati Shangri-La. 2-night stay in a Grand Club room for 2 packs at the Grand Hyatt BGC. Trip for 2 at Balisin Island Club for 3 days, 2 and 2 nights. This is our grand prize.
Follow my simple instruction. Wind to the left, sway to the right, drop it down low and take it back high. Bitch, I don't need introduction. Follow my simple instruction. Wind to the left, sway to the right, drop it down low and take it back high. Bitch, I don't need introduction. Follow my simple instruction. Wind to the left, sway to the right, drop it down low and take it back high. Bitch, I don't need introduction. Follow my simple instruction. Cause I am the boss. Buy anything, I don't care what it costs. Act like a casino, I'm not a casino. If you're the
Once again, our raffle prizes: 1 unit of Unibest Personal 5-sheet crosscut paper shredder from Pacific Sun Solutions Incorporated. 2 winners of 5 Enchanted Kingdom passes worth 5,500 pesos. Overnight stay in a deluxe room with breakfast for 2 at the Makati Shangri-La. A 2-night stay in a Grand Club room for 2 packs at the Grand Hyatt BGC. And our grand prize, a trip for 2 at the Balisin Island Club for 3 days and 2 nights.
Introduction. Follow my simple instruction. Wind to the left, sway to the right, drop it down low and take it back high. Bitch, I don't need introduction. Follow my simple instruction. See me, I do what I gotta do. Oh yeah. On the guest list, no need to queue. Oh yeah. Me and my crew, we got the juice. Oh yeah. So come here, let On the ladies. Wind to the left. Report to the dance floor when I say, oh yeah. Step 2. Tell mom you'll be out too late. Oh yeah. Step 3. Pull up your bumper, cock up your waist. Oh yeah. Step 4. Grab somebody now face to face and say, ladies, wind to the left, sway to the right, drop it down low and take it back high. Bitch, I don't need introduction. Follow my simple instruction. Wind to the left, sway to the right, drop it down low and take it back high. Bitch, I don't need introduction. Follow my